All right, let me ask you something. When you hear that word rich, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it a giant mansion? Some flashy supercar? A life of just pure luxury? For most of us, that's kind of the default picture. But today, we're going to totally challenge that whole idea. We're going to explore a new and honestly, a much more powerful definition of what it really means to be wealthy. You see, on one side, you've got all the typical status symbols. The fancy car, that big house, making sure everyone else is envious, right? But on the other side, well, there's something way deeper. We're talking about time with your family, having the energy for your hobbies, and just the sheer freedom to control your own life. That's the core shift in thinking we're diving into right now. So this all brings us to the central question of this whole explainer. What if this relentless, non-stop pursuit of money what if it's just missing the point? What if the real prize isn't a bigger bank account? What if it's something else entirely? Well, the answer to that question is a really cool concept called the wealth trinity. Think of it as a framework for building a genuinely rich life, and it stands on three super important, equally weighted pillars: family, fitness, and freedom. So let's break them down, starting with the first one. Okay, so pillar number one is family. Now hold on, this isn't just about your mom, dad, or your siblings. Think of family as, a shorthand for all of your meaningful relationships. These are the people who form the true foundation of a life that's actually worth living. And the biggest threat to this pillar? Oh, it's a trap we all know way too well. Keeping up with the Joneses. It's that nagging pressure to sacrifice our time, our savings, all just to get these temporary status symbols. And for what? Usually to impress people whose opinions don't really matter one bit in the long run. It's a killer. The source material for this puts it perfectly. It says, if you're working 80 hours a week to afford a car that makes your neighbor envious, you have a massive hole in your financial bucket. I mean, think about that. Your bucket is leaking. You might be pouring money in at the top, but the stuff that actually makes life worthwhile, your relationships, it's all just draining right out the bottom. All right, next up, we've got our second pillar, fitness. And the best way to think about this one? Your body is like a garden. Seriously. It's not something you can just use and abuse and expect it to be fine. No, it's something you have to actively cultivate, day in and day out. There's this amazing quote from John Soforic, the author of The Wealthy Gardener, that just hits the nail on the head. He says, you shouldn't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. See, health isn't about some immediate payoff. It's about that consistent, daily practice of planting good seeds. We're talking good nutrition, exercise, getting enough rest. That's what's going to yield a harvest for decades to come. The legendary investor Charlie Munger had a brilliant mental model for this. He used to say, invert, always invert. So if you want to figure out how to live a good life, start by figuring out how to live a truly miserable one. And what was his recipe for misery? It's simple. Be a sick person with $1 billion. The point is so crucial. Without your health, money loses almost all of its value. It's almost worthless. And ultimately, this is what the fitness pillar really gives you. True wealth isn't just having the cash to do things. No way. It's having the physical and the mental energy to actually go out and pursue your craziest, most ambitious dreams. And that brings us to our final, and let's be honest, maybe the most sought-after pillar of the whole trinity, freedom. For so many of us, this is the ultimate goal, right? And it really just boils down to one simple thing: the power of choice, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want. But what's the biggest enemy of freedom? It's another one of those super common traps: lifestyle inflation. You know what I'm talking about? It's when your income goes up, but your expenses go right up with it. You're still living paycheck to paycheck, you just have fancier stuff. You're basically on a nicer, shinier hamster wheel, but you're still just running in place, going nowhere. See, building real freedom requires a fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to go from being a consumer to being an owner. It's a huge difference. A consumer buys a pair of Nike shoes. An owner buys Nike shares. A consumer finances the bank's bottom line. An owner finances their own liberty. Okay, so we've covered the three pillars: family, fitness, and freedom. But how do you actually know where you stand, right? How can you apply this to your own life right now? Well, that's where this checklist comes in. It's all based on a simple but incredibly powerful principle. What gets measured gets managed. And that saying isn't just for business. It holds true for life too. If you don't actively measure your progress in these three key areas, it is so easy to just let them slide. So, let's get practical. Let's look at 3 really powerful questions you can ask yourself, one for each pillar. And I want you to take a moment and really honestly consider these. Number 1, for freedom. Can you walk away from your job today and still maintain your lifestyle? Number 2, for fitness. Are you trading your long-term health for short-term financial gains? And finally, number 3, for family. Take a hard look at your bank statements. Do they show that you value your family's time or your neighbor's opinion? I mean, these questions really cut right to the chase, don't they? Look, this whole wealth trinity thing, it isn't some complex, secret formula. It's a simple idea. But like Charlie Munger always advised, the real magic, the real power, happens when you take a simple idea and you take it seriously. Applying this framework day in and day out, that's what builds a truly rich life. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. Take a good, hard look at your goals, at your daily habits, your priorities, and just ask yourself honestly, are you building a rich life or are you just building a rich bank account?